The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. So many ways to take us in. We appreciate however you are doing so this morning. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Still to come this hour, we'll look at some French Open props. Paul Sporer will join us to talk MLB. By the way, Kelley, I know you got in on it. Kiki Mladenovic drops the first set 6-4. She got broken late.
Come on, Kiki. Get it together. Well, you can get 10-1 now if you want to jump in.
Got to get the home crowd behind her, man. She is a French player taking on Petra Martic. Kiki Mladenovic down a set, while Nuno Borges and Tomas Mahach are in a first-set tiebreaker, where Borges is a slight dog. As the French Open rolls on. I shouldn't say rolls on because it's like gets in matches in between the raindrops.
Rolls and then stops for rain. Yeah, and then rolls on. A really quick, interesting note coming down from Shams on Bronny James.
Uh-oh.
Was scheduled for 10 workouts with NBA teams. Has declined them all except for the Lakers and the Suns.
Okay, translate that for me.
I don't know.
Does that say that LeBron James is only willing to play for his Lakers or the Suns? That's what it tells me.
Yeah, maybe. And that, yes, I don't know. I guess the whole thing of Bronny with LeBron will be a thing at the end of the day.
So if you're a Phoenix Suns fan right now, you're like, oh, we getting LeBron James?
I mean, this might be like Matt Ishbia just thinking like, oh, if I draft his son, like he'll have to come here, and then I get LeBron too.
That Pablo Torres Matt Ishbia podcast is awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good show.
All right, this is going to be awesome because we have regionals determined now in college baseball. Matt Grissom joins us from Arkansas. He is the emperor of collegebaseballinsiders.com. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. What's happening, Matt?
Oh, can we just go back and you read old Bill Walton quotes? That was the greatest segment on television.
He's
rest
so
in
great.
peace, Bill.
Yeah, man.
And in great fashion, the last Pac-12 event ended, I believe, on Sunday with a walk-off in the ninth, and then Bill Walton died the next day. So he didn't want to live in a world without Pac-12 after dark.
That was the line that I used. He didn't want to live in a world without the Pac-12. Yeah. May he rest in peace. By the way, and this is the last thing about this, but I've never, when someone passes away, I said it was melancholy. I've never seen so many people universally smile about a guy, right? Like he's just beloved for all kinds of reasons. By the way, he had a broadcasting career. He had a horrible stutter early on. He couldn't, when he was in college, and even when the Blazers won the championship, he could barely speak.
I didn't know that. That was well documented in that 30 for 30. That was
it was amazing. All right. Before we get to your plays, and you've got plays, and I love this. This is going to be college baseball nirvana. Explain. We try to do this every year. There are the regionals, then there are the super regionals, and then there is the College World Series where they have this Fakachta bracket, which we're going to have to explain with a graphic. By the way, in Arkansas, how many times do people use the word Fakachta, by the way, Matt? Is that a well-used
word? Not often.
Not often, okay.
Maybe the first half of the word, but say it.
The first third of it, yes. All right, so explain the regionals and the super regionals to us, please.
All right, so it's real simple. You've got 64 teams. They're all seeded. 1 through 16 are your regional seeds. They're going to play host to a 2, 3, and 4 seed. Now, it's not on an S curve. It's more geographical, kind of like we talked about. So the number 1 overall seed may not get the worst 4 seed, so it's not on an S. But basically, you've got the top 16. They'll play in a double elimination tournament, and then the team that survives, you say, top 8 national seeds, they'll be the regional host or for the super regional host, and unless they lose, and then it will go to the higher seeded or lower seeded host. So, for instance, 1 is going to be matched up against the 16. That's Tennessee is your number 1 overall seed. 16 is the Greenville region with East Carolina. If both teams win, ECU will go to Knoxville to play in the super regional. But if Southern Miss pulls the upset over Tennessee, then ECU would then host. So it's very confusing. And then you've got the same sort of format in Omaha. So you go for the top 8 teams that win in the super regionals which is a best of 3. They'll go on and they'll play the first half of the bracket pretty much in a double elimination. And then if they make it to the championship game, that's when they'll play the best of 3 series for the national championship.
Now, I'm sure that was simple to you, but I'm guessing most of the audience, their heads just exploded. Yeah.
6 years of doing this, I still have to stop and think of, all right, what are we doing here? Do you have to win, or can you lose one? Yeah, it's total chaos, but it makes for a very entertaining weekend. You can watch Squeeze play on ESPN. That's like a Octabox, like NFL Red Zone type. Just watch 8 games at once. It's amazing. You've got to tune into it.
And forgive me if you included this, but the regionals is double elimination, and the super regionals is a best of 3, and then it's the weird bracket for a College World Series.
Correct.
Okay, let's get to the regionals. You have not 1, not 2, but 6. Count them, 6 bets. Let's start at the top, and you can give us an explanation for each.
So the first one I noticed was Georgia. They were one and done in the SEC tournament. They were projected 8 seed going into it. When they lost, I kind of assumed the committee would push them back a little bit. They actually improved their ranking, which for us who hopped on Georgia to win the College World Series and to make it to Omaha bet, they actually have, in my opinion, one of the easiest paths to get there. They're in a regional where they host against their rival in Georgia Tech, and then UNC Wilmington is the 2 seed. Army is the 4. I think they pretty much have a cakewalk through their own regional. So Georgia minus 115 just made sense to get through there. And then Texas A&M. You look at the top seeds. Texas A&M is the number 3 overall seed hosting. They did get the Texas Longhorns in their own regional, as well as Louisiana for the 2 seed, and then Grambling. But Texas A&M is just far and away better. This is a team that ranks 5th in team weighted runs created plus and 3rd in Team Sierra. Your next closest is Louisiana, 53rd and 27th. I just think Texas A&M gets right at home, and they walk through that. Minus 140 was way cheap compared to the other sports books that had odds out. I saw it as high as minus 190. And then Oregon State. Oregon State, one of the only Pac-12 teams that are hosting, with Arizona, who is kind of a shock to some. But I think Oregon State is just set up nicely. They've got UC Irvine and then Nicholls State, Tulane in there. Oregon State 8-2 in their last 10. They rank 3rd in team weighted runs created. They're just in a totally different ballpark than the rest of this regional. So getting a little plus money there. And then Duke. Duke is a team that is going to be, I feel like, just a lighted fire under them. They probably should have hosted. Honestly, they worked themselves into it. They won the ACC tournament in just great fashion. Duke is getting their ace back in Jonathan Santucci. He threw in the pen last weekend, plus 115 to get through Oklahoma's regional. I'm not buying Oklahoma. This may be another one that you bet game by game, but Duke is far and away better on the stats page than Oklahoma. 16th in team weighted runs created, 19th in pitching compared to 50 and 54 for Oklahoma. So take Duke to get through that. And then our darling Oklahoma State, the team that just continues to not lose. It's beautiful. They are plus 105 in their own regional, where they are paired up against Nebraska, Florida, who should not have gotten in. Florida's 28-27 on the year. That was a committee doing them a favor. Boo. And then Niagara.
Politics.
Boo, Gators, boo.
It is. Oklahoma, yeah, and they have a committee member on board. Shocker. Oklahoma State, 13th ranked in team weighted runs created, 2nd in Team Sierra. The next closest to them is Nebraska at 58 and 25th. These are just teams that are way better, and they're playing at home, and you're getting plus money. This is crazy. And then the number 2 seed that I think has the best chance of getting through, it's Mississippi State. You've got Kyle Steven. You've got Urangelo Sainchi, the ambidextrous pitcher. This is a Mississippi State team that was really in the conversation of being a regional host. They didn't get it. They go to Virginia, who Virginia's kind of been night and day different. just depending on what you get. They dropped the home series, I think, 2 weekends ago. I think Mississippi State plus 145 is a solid play. I just can't see them at least not pushing Virginia into a potential Game 3 elimination type, and a team that ranks 6th nationally in Sierra versus a team that is 17th in hitting. It should make for a very fun game that will end up deciding the winner of that regional.
All right.
And I'll back the SEC team every time.
Georgia, Texas A&M, Oregon State, Duke, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State. They're all up on the screen, but for those not watching, those are your 6 bets in their respective regionals. And refresh our memory, Matt, how many bets do you have right now to win it all?
I have about 9.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I try to spread around, get a little value here and there. I think my latest one I took was Oklahoma State, 60-1 still. That the price is just way too high. And then, of course, I've got some Arkansas, 10-1, 12-1, plus 750. But Tennessee, I've got them, Tennessee plus 1750 before the season started. Then I hit them again for 10-1. North Carolina, 30-1. I'm sitting here looking at the board and who's got the easiest path. I still think there's a ton of value on Oklahoma State. It's the team that's got the total package, and they are just playing out of their minds right now. It kind of resembles the TCU run of last year.
Matt, appreciate it. So Oklahoma State, the most recent of those College World Series plays. Thank you for the regional plays, man. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Matt Grissom, at Grissom on X on Twitter, collegebaseballinsiders.com. French Open props next. Back on a numbers game, brought to you by, of course, the good folks over at Zinn. Presented by Zinn Nicotine Pouches, America's #1 nicotine pouch. Find out more at Zinn.com. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon. That's Bydlon, everybody.
That's right.
Bydlon.
Lexi Thompson will retire at the end of this LPGA
Really?
season. Yeah.
Wow. What was that Lexi Thompson thing that happened in one of those tournaments back in the day? Do you remember that? There was we had a Lexi Thompson discussion once on a numbers game. There's a specific thing that happened in a tournament.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I was doing stories on her when she was like 15. She was down in South Florida. She was a phenom. 29 years old, though.
29 years old. She's had enough of it. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Blake, GM of the week. Gill, taking 7 friends to Vegas for a homie's birthday. Any way we could get the name of the sushi spot? I don't know if they can handle 7.
7. Oh,
yeah.
Boy.
Don't know if they can handle 7.
Stay out of jail in the ER. You get that many people coming. Those are your 2 goals.
Peter Watry, really enjoy Matt Grissom. Side note, could we get subtitles during his segment? Nice guy. But you didn't understand Matt? He was awesome.
I thought it was a good line he had at the beginning.
I did too. Brian Moranian, having Grissom describe the College World Series just brings me back to Basketball's Denslow Cup. Do you remember that?
What a great movie, the Denslow Cup.
In the Southwest Division East Northern. And then Milwaukee goes to the Denslow Cup. Jason H11, yeah, pretty sure that college baseball segment gave me an aneurysm. Got sushi? Why do people? Oh, I think it was the explanation of the format.
Yes,
that's what I think. Yeah, no, trust me, I'm there every year. And you point.
I almost wanted to halt you because it's not even worth. Yeah, exactly. Halt, Gill, halt. Because it's almost not even worth explaining the craziness of the College World Series till you get there. The regionals and the super regionals aren't that bad.
That's why I said for cock and bracket. We'll get to that when we get to that. But it's double elimination.
Yeah,
regionals.
you got 4 teams in each regional, double elimination.
Best of 3 in the super regionals.
You're correct. Yeah.
Okay, that's all we need to know for now.
I think what we said during the break, I think what really screws people up is you just go, the regionals, the super regionals look very different from the regionals, right? And then the College World Series looks very different from the super regionals.
Yeah. You got to navigate it all, and you got to have your pitching in the proper intact order. Mm-hmm. Mike Alvarez. We always love Mikey. The college baseball championship is confusing. Can we go back to talking simple things like parimutuel betting and dead heat rules? That's right. Speaking of which, we'll get to with the Guardians here coming up. Yeah, those aren't fun either. Thank you for reminding me.
I could have every horse better on the planet tell me how it's in my favor to bet the parimutuel market, and I will refuse to do it every step of the way, Gill, as long as someone's offering me fixed odds. It's kind of like dead heat, right? It has to happen to you just one time where you're like, I bet this horse at 15-1. And they're like, wait, why did I just get paid for 3-1? What are you talking about? Like, it happens to you one time, and then you're like, I'm never doing this again. If you're not a big horse guy.
The dead heat is particularly deflating in sports.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. We did the math one day. We won't do it again, I promise. All right, French Open props. Come on, Kiki Mladenovic, hold your serve.
Get it together.
Sorry, it's a brief aside. So French Open, you can still bet this not only match to match, but obviously there are props that are still up in multiple locations.
DraftKings does such a great job with stuff.
Great job.
I love throwing this stuff together and throwing it at you and making you answer this stuff.
Well,
There's so many different options, but you never go to look to bet it, right?
I cannot guarantee that there's going to be a bet here.
Sure.
But you'll throw them at me. So here we go. French Open on the men's side. Okay, so you have a field bet.
Yep.
Alcaraz, Djokovic, and Sinner, minus 200. The field is plus 150. So in the field, you would have the likes of Casper Ruud, Sasha Zverev, and if you're a Stefanos Tsitsipas guy, I guess you could add him in there as well. I am not. That's about right.
So you have bets on Alcaraz, Djokovic. If Ruud was in there instead of Sinner and you were getting like minus 150, would you bet that? If you didn't have your bets already.
More likely to. Because Ruud and Djokovic play in the quarters, so I would be in my estimation will play in the quarters, and so I would be guaranteed in my mind a semifinalist.
Gotcha. Okay.
I just don't. The problem here is that, I mean, a lot of people think Sasha Zverev is the guy. Sasha Zverev coming off a win last week on clay, so they might consider a field bet. But yeah, I would just say if you believe in Zverev, just bet Zverev at a much better number than this. I don't like either side of this bet.
Gotcha.
Don't like either side of it. But I think, okay, the price is about where it should be.
Right, okay.
Unseeded player to reach final. No, of course not. No is minus 1,200.
Okay, so I wanted to include this one because, like, without even knowing, right, I thought that same thing, right? That 7-1 seemed a little silly on this for a yes price. Is the no price bettable at that number?
I mean, kind of.
Right, okay, that's kind of what, that's more what I wanted to bring it up.
If Steve Fezzik were here, I would say, Stevie, have at it.
Like, is that a Fezzik bet written all over
it? That's a Fezzik bet.
Yeah.
No minus 1,200.
That's why I wanted to include that.
The chances of an unseeded player winning the men's French Open, come on.
And less likely, I'm glad you just said it that way, less likely for it to happen on the men's side than the women's side, right?
I would say.
Okay.
Even though EGA exists on the women's side, I would still say it's less likely on the men's side. Winning half, top half plus 110, bottom half minus 140. I'm sorry to tell you, Kelley, but that's accurately priced because the top half, if we're doing a quarter by quarter here or half by half on the men's side, Novak Djokovic, Casper Ruud, Sasha Zverev, and again, a guy that I have a quarter bet on, Jan-Lennard Struff, for instance, they're all on the top half. So you got Djokovic and you got Ruud. And you got Sasha Zverev. But on the bottom half, you've got Alcaraz, Sinner, Rublev, Tsitsipas, and then just a bevy of other like clay court specialists. So I do think the bottom half should be a slight favorite, barely. Maybe minus 140 is a tick high, but not. There's no value. There's not enough value there to play.
Gotcha. They should be the favorite.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the quarter specifically?
So I think the quarters are priced correctly because the third quarter, when Drew and I did the podcast and when we talked about it here on a numbers game, quarter number 3 is the most top heavy. It has Alcaraz, Rublev, Tsitsipas, Ben Shelton, Auger-Aliassime, Pedro Martinez, that kind of thing. But it's got Rublev, Tsitsipas, and Alcaraz, and Tsitsipas is the 9th seed, I believe, and so there was always going to be one quarter that had the extra player that was going to be the top heaviest, and that's the one, third quarter. So that should be the short shot.
But that doesn't include, unless I missed a name, right? Alcaraz is the only guy you actually bet on, right? In that quarter?
Correct.
Is there any of the other quarters that has 2 of your guys?
Q1 is the one. If you are forcing me to make a bet here, I would bet first quarter because that's got Djokovic and Ruud in it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And again, the play there is because I think they're meeting in the quarterfinals. And so having one of those guys, Ruud, back-to-back finalists, finalist here at French Open. So that plus 240 on the first quarter. But again, you could bet each of them singularly at much sexier numbers, right? So again, that's only if you're forcing me to bet. That's the one I bet first quarter. Ladies side, do we have equivalents to this?
Yeah, I mixed it up with the ladies side. There's so many different ones. I always like the who will advance further bets.
Well, first the field bet is Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Goff at minus 550 versus the field. Don't bother. Just take Iga. I'm just saying. And if you have someone you like besides Iga, just take that player. Don't bet this.
Why is Goff included there?
She got to a final here, but I just don't trust in Coco here. Her game has not been the same since the U.S. Open. And who will advance further? Okay, Swiatek versus Sabalenka. Well, Iga should be the finalist. I mean, the favorite. Now, if you think they're meeting in the final, and if you think that that's a favorable price on Sabalenka, then you would bet Sabalenka here, I suppose. But to me, there's not a bet there because I think Swiatek will be about that price against Sabalenka in a potential final. They're on different sides of the bracket. Here's an interesting one. Zheng Xinwen, the lovely and talented Zheng Xinwen. You should watch every match she's in, Kelley, by the way. Just point. Should make it. Zheng Xinwen is minus 150 against Yelena Ostapenko, who won the French Open in 2017. Zheng is a minus 150 favorite. I hate to say it, that's accurate, because Ostapenko's next match is against Clara Tauson. And Ostapenko is a favorite in that match, but she's probably not a big favorite. Let me see real quick. Minus 160. And I think Clara Tauson might be live in that match. So I actually think that's correct. And then
if anything, Zheng minus 150.
Correct.
Yeah.
Though Ostapenko, like Drew believes Ostapenko is going to get far in this tournament.
Okay.
But I still think that's priced correct because of Ostapenko's next opponent. And then Jabeur versus Badosa, man, I wouldn't bet Paula Badosa at anything because she is as likely to withdraw or come up with some injury or something. And Ons Jabeur seems to, she's not back to where she was, but she seems to have found a little something. And if you look at the draw, it's also favorable for Jabeur. Badosa might not be Katie Bolter today. So
yeah, that's a big price, I guess.
I wouldn't bet it, but I certainly wouldn't take a flyer on Badosa either. So to me, of all of those, I think Zheng Xinwen at minus 150 against Ostapenko, and I do think if you made me bet a quarter in the men's side, I would say Q1, which is the second short shot.
I like these though because if you actually thought that's what the number was going to be for Iga in the final, this isn't a bad bet at minus 400.
On serve in the second set with Kiki Mladenovic. Come on. Paul Sporer next on Major League Baseball. We'll update the Guardians too. For a limited time only, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription. Normally, it's $240. Normally. That's on a normal day. This isn't normal. You can now secure your subscription for just $199. Sign up today. We'll throw in an extra 2 months for free. That's 14 months of VEASAN Pro Access for less than 50 cents a day when you use promo code ANG. But you got to hurry. It ends Friday. That's when the special offer expires. Expired. May 31st, this Friday. With VEASAN Pro, you'll get immediate access to only daily best bets, to our daily best bets, I should say, complete with a leaderboard showcasing the hottest VEASAN experts, betting splits that reveal where the money and bets are trending for every game, exclusive betting systems, premium analysis, 24/7 video content. Remember, the offer expires this Friday, May 31st. So visit VEASAN.com/subscribe now to grab your 14 months of VEASAN Pro for just $199 with promo code ANG.
ANG, like a numbers game.
That's VEASAN.com/subscribe. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Time to update the Guardians. It is May 28th. Yesterday, not a good day because the Cleveland Guardians' 9-game winning streak, 12 out of their last 13. The 9-game winning streak got snapped. They lose at Coors. They had themselves a 3-0 lead and a 4-1 lead. But here's the thing about this monthly bet. And by the way, shout out to Eric Biggio at William Hill Caesars who tweeted me the new June.
Trolling you, yeah.
He's totally trolling me. He's like, I don't know, Gil, want to look at June?
He's helping me out as a producer.
That's right. He's like, we need the content.
Again, as your friend and a bettor, I would tell nobody to force anything. As a show producer, though, this has been fun in the past 2 months.
You enjoy seeing me come to the cusp of victory only to get destroyed at the end. So the Guardians lose 8-6 to the Rockies. And this is the trippy part about these monthly bets. Stephen Vogt, the manager of the Tribe, he does not know that there's anything on the line, right? They're not They're not playing for the pennant. They're not playing for the division. They're not playing for anything. It's like the end of a month, and only the bettors who have this bet knows this. So he left in Xavier Curry, probably a couple batters too long yesterday. I'm like, take him out. Didn't take him out. So they lost their lead, and they lose 8-6. Now, here's the other thing that happened, though. The other two teams that are involved, and by the way, there's only 4 teams that are involved in this now. 26 have been eliminated from having the most wins in the month of May. It's only the Phillies, Yankees, Guardians, and Royals. Well, not only did the Guardians lose, but so did the Royals, despite a furious comeback in the 9th. They lose to the Twins. And then the Phillies got doubled up by the magic that is the San Francisco Giants, 8-4. So I said yesterday on the show, even though the Yankees were in second place in the standings, that they're the real betting favorite at this point to win May. They're the big favorite now, in my opinion. The Phillies and the Yankees are both 18-6. But now the Yankees have 4 games left, while the Phillies just have 3 games left. So the Yankees, by the way, they got 3 at Anaheim to play the Angels before they go to San Francisco to have to contend with the magic that is the Giants. But you got 3 at Anaheim, and so not only do you have the extra game, but you got the easy opponent. And so the Yankees are the betting favorite right now. Both the Phillies and Yankees at 18-6. The Guardians are 17-8. The Royals are 16-8. They're the only other 2 teams that are in this. So we're still alive with the Guardians. But here's what has to happen. Because we could be eliminated tonight, or we could be on life support after tonight. Here's essentially what would have to happen. The Guardians would have to win their last 3. Just one scenario, right? Win their last 3. 2 against the Rockies, 1 against the Nationals. The Phillies would have to go 1-2. Okay, that's possible because they do have to play the Giants. And the Royals would have to go 3-1. Okay, that's possible. All possible at this point. Except here's the problem: the Yankees would have to go 1-3, and that is where the rub is. Because the Yankees would have to go 1-3, 3 against the Angels, 1 against the Giants. It's asking a lot.
Yeah,
it's asking a lot. We'll see. We've gotten this far, though. Good luck to all of us.
The only upside, I guess, for people that did bet at Dead Heat shops, there's
I'm glad
way
you brought
less
that up.
teams involved.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's for those of us who bet at Circa, where there are tiebreakers of fewest losses and run differential. But for those who are at the Dead Heat shop, that is William Hill Caesars, and you have a Guardians bet, you could still Dead Heat this. You don't need to have those things happen, right? You just have to get to the same amount of wins as the Phillies and Yankees. That is more possible.
And wasn't in April, where at this point, wasn't there still like 6 teams or something like that?
It was much more of a scrum.
So like Dead Heat, you were going to get crushed.
April 30th, there was like 6 or 7 teams still in. Yeah. Okay. That's where we stand. Good luck to all of us. Paul Sporer joins us from Austin, Texas. He's at Fangraphs, host of the Sleeper and the Bust podcast. He joins us courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line at Sporer. Oh, he switched his hat to a Guardians hat. I saw what you did, Paulie. Thank you, sir.
I got your back. What's going on, Gill?
He was wearing a Marlins hat. Now all of a sudden, it's the Tribe. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's start with DFS. We usually close with DFS, but there is a game at Coors. That is the Guardians game. What would you play today at DFS?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm always going to be looking at the Coors. Now, I will say, at least anecdotally, I don't have all the data on it. I don't feel like Coors is yielding a ton of numbers.
That's correct. That's correct, yeah.
It's partly because they suck so bad. So that, the Rockies themselves aren't really delivering numbers, but I feel like in a weird way, some of their pitchers have stepped up there too and limited the opponents. That said, I'm still going to look at some guards, but there's a lot of good pitchers going out there today. You got Wheeler, Peralta, Reagans, 3 bona fide aces. I'm inclined to lean one of them. Luis Castillo, Max Fried, 2 more aces up there. They're even a bit cheaper if you're looking at the DraftKings board. I might go one of them to kind of save a little bit, especially Fried. Fried's the cheapest of that group, so I'm definitely going to look at him. And then as far as teams to go, if you try to fade the Colorado game, because the runs there haven't been massive, probably going to go with a bunch of Phillies against the Giants, even though it's in San Francisco. They're hitting everywhere always. And Blue Jays against Mike Clevenger.
The Ronald Acuna injury. We're talking a little bit about this yesterday on the show. From a betting perspective, I asked Mark Borchard, okay, does this mean, Phillies minus 150 to win the division? He actually went the other way. He's like, the market has overreacted even with the movement that it has made, which wasn't like massive movement, but still was an overreaction in his estimation. He actually thinks, bet on Braves now that you're getting more favorable prices. Do you see it that way, generally?
I do like that. I think an overreaction doesn't surprise me at all. That's exactly what I would expect to happen. We as a betting community, fantasy community, baseball community, whatever you want, constantly overrate the impact of one player. Now, he is a god. I'm not here, negating any impact of Acuna. He's amazing. But didn't they win the World Series without him? That was without him, yes? Am I wrong that he was not part of that? That's when they brought in Soler and everything. I remember a huge run that the Reds made. This is a while ago because they were in contention, that they made without Joey Votto, right? Like one player in baseball, it's just not like it is in other sports. So I'm not surprised that, the odds are going to change a bunch. Everyone's going to say fade, fade, fade the Braves. I'm actually kind of open to leaning into it because they're not going to fold. They're not just going to pack it in and say, well, we lost Acuna, we're out. No, Alex Anthopoulos is going to go pull a rabbit out of his hat somewhere. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of an outfielder he could even get. I almost said Brian Reynolds, but the Pirates are still kind of like in fringe contention now. They have like 2 aces, and they signed him, so they're inclined to keep him. But that was the default guy to say a team was going to trade for a while until they locked him in. But they're not going to cower. The Braves are going to put their foot to the pedal. So I'm really going to stay. I would go further in on the Braves right now as opposed to fading them.
Yeah, the interesting thing is with some of these markets, there's 15-1 to miss the playoffs. So they're still a massive favorite to make the playoffs. Do you think 15-1 represents some value, though?
To miss how are they going to miss the playoffs, Gill?
Well, because here's why. Because the way you asked that. The way you asked was so mean.
I loved it.
I think because I'll put it this way. You still got 3 wild cards, right? And can you find 3 wild cards? Well, the answer to that would be I can't in the East, but I could find 1 in the Central, right? Either the Brewers or Cubs, whoever doesn't make it there. And it comes down to, could you find 2 in the West to have better records than the Braves? 2 of the Padres, Diamondbacks, Giants trio.
No. Hey, Giants.
Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely still a dog, right? But 15-1 as a no? Like that, that price is kind of nice, is what I'm saying. If it was 5-1, I wouldn't ask.
Sure, it's not a bad price. Like you're always thinking these angles, and I love that about you. I just don't see. So it's like there's sometimes where I get the principle, and that alone kind of gets me hyped, and I'll make like a half unit, quarter unit type bet because I'm like, yes, the theory works here.
Yeah.
But in practice, I got to be honest with you, Gill, and the listeners, I don't see it at all.
Okay.
So like
I
get you're mapping out, but I wouldn't put any serious cheddar on it at all.
All right. Would you take them to win the division at a plus price? Phillies are minus 150.
Yes. I forget who you referenced earlier, pardon me, to that gentleman, saying to go in on the Braves, but I want to co-sign what he's saying because I totally agree. Everyone's going to pivot away from them, understandably, because they see, big name is out. I'm going in. I trust Alex Anthopoulos. I trust the foundation that they have around him. Again, they won the 2019 series without him. He only played half the season. Losing Acuna sucks. He's a god. The Braves, I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're more or less good. Fine.
Plus 120 to win the division. By the way, real quick on the way out, who wins the AL West when all is said and done?
Texas.
Texas does. Okay. The defending world champions.
Plus 380.
Plus 380. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Take care.
We'll come back. We'll wrap things up with the NBA tonight. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Close to crowning an NBA champ, but with the action heating up on the court, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New to DraftKings, listen up. New customers get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5. You'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code VSiN. The crown is yours. Kelley, Kiki Mladenovic did not get there. She loses 6-4 as a $4 dog.
Come on, Kiki. Cost me a whole $20 this morning.
Oh, that's what you bet on it? 20? That's how much confidence you had in my bet? $20?
Well, I got in late. I got it when she was down a game already, so I had like plus 520. I was like, let me go a little later on this.
We get tweets. We get a bunch of tweets. This is from Kevin Ryan. I am 66 and had the pleasure of watching Bill Walton play and listening to him announce for the Pac-12. I ran across him at the Phoenix airport, and he talked to me for 10 minutes.
These are all the stories I keep hearing. It's incredible.
Icon has passed. I didn't have an encounter with Bill Walton. I attended the Who concert here in Vegas because I was on a concert binge where I was like, I'm gonna watch concerts of genres I'm not into. And there was Bill Walton, 2 rows in front of me on the aisle, standing.
That's awesome.
You're the person behind him. I think the person behind him was just so thrilled to be behind Bill Walton that they didn't complain about it. This is from C. Oaks. The final round of the World Series is basically a combination of the super region formats. 8 teams split into 2 regions, double elimination. Winners of each play in a 2 out of 3 series for the title.
Duh.
Oh, that's simple. Oh, and Grissom jumped in. He goes, what I should have done to simplify the college baseball postseason could be summed up in one rule. Don't lose twice in one weekend and you're good. That's the way
there
to
you
say
go.
it.
Yeah, there you go.
Just don't lose twice in one weekend. Thank you, Matt Grissom. And then Logic 3227. How could you forget the biggest story of the day? Angel Hernandez retired. This day should be a national holiday. Yeah, Angel Hernandez, quote unquote, retired. I think there was probably.
What is that?
I think there was. Well, he retired.
Like he was pushed out?
But I think there was a deal.
Okay.
That's my guess. Like maybe baseball finally realized maybe we shouldn't have this perception.
Right.
Of us.
Yeah. Like you're kind of hurting the game. Maybe time to take that golden watch.
And well, looky here.
People still get gold watches when they retire? Does that happen anywhere?
You let me know when it happens. Well, Kelley Bydlon. Kendrick Perkins says that he's embarrassed he used his Defensive Player of the Year vote on Rudy Gobert and calls it the biggest regret of his media career. Quote, when does the suit end? No, I'm kidding. Quote, he has tarnished the Defensive Player of the Year award. He has. He's not respected by his peers. We saw what happened to him in the Denver series. He couldn't even guard the person at his position, unquote. Well, thanks for nothing, Kendrick Perkins, because some of us bet on this stuff. But I do appreciate the public mea culpa.
Yeah. No,
even though it cost us money.
Me too.
But this is what I said yesterday on the show, right?
I don't think you're hearing that from the Domantas Sabonis guy on anything.
That Domantas Sabonis guy is not apologizing for anything.
This is where I feel like I'm always defending Rudy because I shouldn't be at all. But like the thing with this series is he's like the 4th biggest problem on this team. Like Karl Anthony Towns, oh my gosh, after this resurgence of a year, has just disappeared in the biggest moment when he was arguably the biggest star of the Denver Nuggets series.
You know what he's shooting from 3 in this series? 13%.
Yeah. What was the one I heard the Establish the Runs guys drop this morning? He has a higher usage rate than his field goal percentage in this series, which is just like something you don't hear. You never hear.
One more thing. Steve Fezzik is angry. He's very angry. He's about to blow. Steve Fezzik, who can be heard on Sharp Money with Patrick Maher and Dustin Sweetelson regularly, weekly.
Yeah, every Monday, I believe. Yeah.
Every Monday here on the network. Steve is the only back-to-back winner of the Hilton Super Contest. Stevie comes on this show, and famously I challenge him on some of his, how can I put this, behavioral things. Most recently, I said to him, I go, Stevie, does it mean more to you to make money or to call other people dumbos? And he said, dumbos. So this is, with that as a backdrop, let me just say this. Stevie texted in, he goes, I strongly disagree with your baseball experts. He says, the markets are going nuts on the Phillies with good reason. I bet my blanks off minus 150 and minus 175 to win the division. Phillies will be minus 300 by mid-June. No Strider, no Acuna. So there's his point. He thinks it's going to move further, so he's grabbing the best of it now.
That was my one question on that.
He says instead of winning 102 games, Atlanta's only going to win 92, and Philly's going to win over 100. Your guys are on crack, he said. There it comes with the name calling and the characterizations. He can't help himself. He says, bookmakers asleep at the wheel, allowing me to bet these at less than minus 200. Allowing him, Stevie, to bet it at less than minus 200. He said, to use your phrase, these guys are too close to the sun. And he disagrees with them strongly. Well, Stevie has an opinion on it. And by the way, I understand Stevie's point.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you lean that way a little bit too, right?
Yeah, the reason I keep bringing it up is because 15-1 for them to miss the playoffs is a good price to me.
I was wondering about, I brought up the Phillies a couple times even before the Acuna injury. So that was the one I gravitated more towards was Phillies in the division.
Listen, I was saying during March, April when we had the Guardians, but I was like, you watch these games every night, the Braves appear to be the best team in baseball. I'm convinced the Braves are the best team in baseball. But that assumes that they're at full strength and that everybody's playing well. Now, Acuna, even before the injury, something was wrong with him. And that became more apparent. I did keep saying, I was like, Ozuna's the best player on this team right now. But baseball is a funny sport. And just because it's there on paper doesn't mean that it's all going to work. And they don't have Strider, and they don't have Acuna, and that's their best pitcher, and that's their best hitter.
I do think it's interesting between what Steve said and what Paul said. How many games in baseball is a player like that worth?
Well, so Steve says it's got to be worth. Steve says it's got to be worth at least 4 wins. He says.
Okay.
Well, I mean, there are ways to quantify this, right? It's called WAR.
Right.
But the problem with WAR is it's not a stat I like. It's not uniform. Fangraphs has a WAR. Baseball Prospectus has a WAR. The two do not meet.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of subjectivity to it. But yes, they are. Every player is worth a certain amount of wins. Sometimes it's negligible. Other times it's not so negligible. So that's Stevie's point, and so that's why he's betting it, because he's taking the best of it, because he thinks it will only go in that direction here in the short term. So there you go. So that's one man's opinion versus another. That's why we talk about these things. All right, finally, Game 4. Let's go back to where we started as we close out here. Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals. Mavericks leading the Timberwolves 3-0 in their best-of-7 Western Conference Finals. In a series where T-Wolves should have themselves a win or 2 or maybe even 3 along the way, but they don't. And so the Mavericks on the cusp, again, 155-0 for teams up 3-0 to close things out. Only 4 times has a team even forced a Game 7 when down 3-0. That's what the Timberwolves are up against. Mavericks are either a 1.5 or 2-point favorite here. Kelley, the total's at 210.5. You've got Mavericks futures.
Yep.
If you did not, how would you play this?
Yeah, side is very tough in this game. We've been saying this throughout this series. I think Minnesota's extremely live, just like they've been every single game. I think kind of like we saw last night. I don't expect this team to completely give up. Side-wise, there would be no bet for me. There is no bet for me. There would be no bet for me even if I didn't have Mavericks tickets going. Total, I've kind of leaned over all along, too. I know that was Drew's thought at the beginning of the series, too, with a Game 1 total. I kind of agree with him. Every game it's kind of looked more to an overlook than under. I did bet one player prop tonight. I bet Naz Reid over his points, 12.5. This is another one. I heard established the run guys talking about it. I completely agree. You got to figure out something with Cat in this game quick, and I think that means you're probably going to see a lot of offensive play calls, action run for him in the first quarter, and either he's got it or you got to put him on the bench. And you got Naz Reid is one of the only guys who's effectively scoring for this team. And yes, he hurts you on the defensive side of the ball, but man, you've got Karl-Anthony Towns out there who's hurting you on both sides right now. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with the bigs tonight too. Bigs tonight overall, Gill, because whether it's Gobert or Cat, I think there's times where you could easily have made a case over the past couple games. Man, you got to get them off the court, get Naz Reid, or even Kyle Anderson, or any of these guys back on there who are just frankly playing better right now. So I like Naz Reid over his points. I played over 12.5. I think I saw his 15 plus at like plus 150. I think if you're playing over on Naz, you got to sprinkle the alts too, because if you're thinking like I'm thinking, he's going to be a much bigger part of the offense tonight. So played that one. That's really the only thing I'm looking at though. Here tonight, I think it's going to be really that Karl-Anthony Towns story, man. It's fascinating because with this team moving forward, can you throw a guy? Can you bench a guy in this type of moment? In a playoff series that star power.
Some people say you should sit Gobert too. Like there's all kinds of things.
That's what I'm saying. But you could completely screw up the future trajectory of this franchise, right?
That Kendrick Perkins mea culpa. I know we're doing a show and I'm laughing about it, but it's kind of left a mark on me. I'm like, yep, I talked about this yesterday. We've talked about it for months now. Everyone's voting for Wembanyama last year, and all the reasons for not voting him are going to be out the window. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.